Grab your fam and grab some warm winter clothes because it's time for family art making. What's up, Ringling fam? It's Kallie, and today it's cold. And to celebrate these cold, wintry days, and because we don't get much snow here in Sarasota, Florida, I'm going to show you how to paint some easy, beautiful, wintry landscapes. Now, we know what a landscape is. It's a picture of something, mostly nature, aka the land, but we're going to be focusing on snowy forest landscapes today. But before we make our own, you know the drill. We need to look at two, count it, 1, 2, very different snowy forest landscapes that we have in the Ringling collection. So let's take a look. These two landscapes have the same general subject, snow and a forest, but they look very different. Let's talk about the one on the left first. This one is an oil painting by artist Bruce Crane. It's pretty realistic looking. You could visit a forest on a winter day and see something very similar to this, right? It looks pretty close to real life. The other landscape is a print by artist Saito Kiyoshi. It's not as realistic. It kind of reminds me of a comic book or an illustration, but it is just as beautiful of an artwork. While Crane's was painted, Kiyoshi's was made by using a woodblock print. Imagine like a big stamp that you can use over and over and over again. That's sort of how woodblock prints work. You would carve out your image onto a wood block, put ink on it, and stamp it onto the paper. It's a lot more technical and difficult than that, but you get the idea. To combine these two different paintings, we'll be using Crane's method, painting, but more in the style of Kiyoshi's. It's going to turn out amazing, and honestly, it's really, really easy to get a beautiful result. For this project, you will need something thick like cardstock or cardboard to use as your canvas. I cut a square out of one of the mini cardboard Amazon boxes lying around my house. Whatever you use, try not to use something that's white. Pick something more brown or gray. If you don't have anything in those colors, just paint over whatever you're using as your background. You'll also need some painter's tape, white paint, black paint, a toothpick, which is optional, but I think it adds a lot to it. You'll need a thicker, stiff paintbrush, and then a smaller paintbrush. You might also want to grab a cardboard box or something similar to put your artwork in, because we're going to get a little messy and you don't want to fling your paint everywhere. Definitely recommend laying down some towels or newspaper on your table. Or if you're like me, I just did it on the floor. The process is really simple. So I've got my cardboard square here, and the first thing you want to do is go around the edges with your painter's tape. Now, try to keep it kind of even because these will act as your borders, and as you can see, I didn't do that, and mine's going to look a little crooked at the end, but I like it that way. I think it adds a little character. Then, you need to paint your tree trunks. So grab that thicker, stiff paintbrush, dip it in your black paint, and you're going to paint lines up and down your cardboard. Now, the top of the trees all need to go all the way to the painter's tape, but the bottom you can kind of stagger where they are on the cardboard. You can also make your tree trunks thicker and thinner. I made all of mine about the same size, but I think it would add a lot of perspective and dimension to change the sizes up a little bit. Next up, you'll want to grab that toothpick I was talking about, and you will see that mine didn't do a whole lot on the paint that was already dried, so it might be best to paint a tree, then go in with the toothpick, then paint the next tree, and so on and so forth, because you want the paint to be a little bit wet. What using the toothpick does is you'll just scrape it up and down the tree trunk, and it'll kind of create a bark texture, these little lines coming through. It'll make your trees look a little bit more textured than just regular paint across the page. Here's where you need to grab that cardboard box I talked about. You want to pick up your canvas and put it into the cardboard box. Keep that painter's tape on. because this is where things are going to get messy. We're going to splatter paint on some snow. So grab that smaller paintbrush and dip it into your white paint. You can get a big glob of it. I have another paintbrush, but you could just use your finger or a pencil or anything. And you just want to whack, 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 whack those two together, and it'll create the splattery spattering of snow falling down in the forest. And you'll just want to do that kind of as much as you want, however much snow you want to have. I went back and added more and more and more. And I like the big globs and the little tiny splatters too. I think it's good to get a little bit of both. Next up, you'll want to grab either that white paintbrush that you already had or a new one. I'm using a sponge brush. And you will paint the snow for the forest floor, the snow that has built up on the ground. So you'll just go in around your trees and fill in some of the blank space to make the snowy ground. Get in between the trees. Make sure there's kind of an even, it's called a horizon line, where the ground and the sky meet. Make sure there's kind of a straight-ish line, and just fill in all that snow. You want to go around the bottom of the trunks a little bit so it looks like they've been buried in the snow. But here's a hot tip. You might want to wait until that black paint is dry before you put white paint on top of it. Otherwise, you will do what I did and get some gray snow around the bottom of your trees. But that's all right. It's not about being perfect. It's about having fun. Once it's dry, all of it needs to be dry, you can remove that painter's tape, and you can see there is now a perfectly clean, albeit crooked, border around the edge of my tree painting. And I think it turned out pretty beautiful, if I say so myself. It makes me wish I was out in the snow instead of in the sun of Florida. And we're back on the couch. I think this turned out amazing. I think it's one of the best paintings I've ever done, and it was so easy. I thought of another fun thing you could do. You could also throw some glitter in that white paint. I don't know how it would splatter, but it would make it very shiny and glittery. So if you're like me and you like a little bit of glitter, I suggest going in and adding a little bit. If you wanted to add maybe like a house, like in Kiyoshi's painting, you could add something like that, other little decorations, maybe some little woodland creatures. But I like it just with the trees too. And if you created your own piece of art, I would love to see it. So you can send a picture of your landscape to the Ringling Facebook page, the Family Programs Facebook page, or send us an email at education@ringling.org. And if you do, let us know if you don't mind if we share it with the rest of our Ringling fam, because I know they want to see what you're up to and what your artwork looks like. And this is all I have for you today, and this is the last fam of the year. We will be back in February, and I know you're thinking, that's a long time from now, but that is because fam is getting a revamping. We're adding something very new and very special and very, very exciting to fam that you don't want to miss out on. So keep your eyes peeled in the new year for that announcement of how you can get some awesome free art supplies to make your own fan projects with me every Saturday. And I'm even going to hopefully have some guests this year. So there's going to be a bunch of other people. There's going to be a lot of projects. There's going to be free art supplies. What more could you want? So I will see you next year at the same time and maybe in the same place. But that's all I have for this year. I hope you all have lovely holidays and a happy new year. I will see you then. Don't forget to check out our Facebook page. We will be posting some other fun art projects and things throughout the holiday break. So give us a like on Facebook if you haven't already, and join that Family Programs Facebook group. I'll see you next time. Bye! You look like this painting. It's black and white too. You don't seem to care.